In this world, the marks we're born with are a gift, a shield against the things that lurk in the shadows. The child I found didn't have one, and now we're both being hunted by the very things the marks are meant to protect us from. It's been 3 days since I last slept. Every time I close my eyes, I see its shape, and I feel a cold dread rolling off the child I'm trying to protect. It's not the kid I'm afraid of. It's what he attracts. A world without a mark is a world without a shield. And this boy has become a lighthouse for the worst things this world has to offer. And I was the fool who answered the light. I found him by the old stone quarry at the edge of town, the one place we were warned to avoid after dusk. Our marks, these intricate swirls of gray and silver, act as a warning system. They burn with a faint, cold light near places like that, a divine alarm telling you to turn back. My own mark, a spiral on my left wrist, was practically screaming at me, a sharp, icy ache shooting up to my shoulder. But over the wind, I heard a cry, not of pain, but a soft, lonely sound. Against my better judgment, I followed it. Tucked between 2 massive granite blocks was a wicker basket. Inside, swaddled in a thin blanket, was a baby, no more than a few months old, staring up at the darkening sky. My first thought was anger. Who would leave a child here? Then relief that he was alive. I reached in to lift him. That's when the dread began. This wasn't the familiar chill of my own mark. This was a deep, hollow cold, a void. I pulled back the blanket, looking for the familiar silver tracery on his skin, on his arm, his chest, his neck. Nothing. His skin was flawless, perfect, and terrifyingly blank. He had no mark. I'd never even seen a person without one. The stories treated them like myths. The markless, born without the aegis, the divine protection that makes the unseen world ignore us. They said to be markless was to be a candle in a world of moths. I should have left him. My mark was throbbing, a frantic warning in my bones. Run. But then I looked at his calm, trusting face, and I couldn't. I lifted him from the basket and I ran. I ran from the quarry and from the terrible feeling that I was no longer alone. The first 48 hours were deceptively quiet. I brought the boy, I started calling him Leo, back to my isolated cabin. I told myself I'd take him to the authorities, but I knew what they'd do. The markless are a bad omen. At best, he'd be cast out. At worst, I couldn't let myself think about it. Our marks aren't just alarms, they're a repellent. The things that live in the deep woods and the shadows of your eye, they see the marks as a sign that we're not for them. Without that sign, you're fair game. The peace ended on the 3rd night. A floorboard on the porch creaked, a slow, deliberate sound. My mark flared with a piercing cold. Leo whimpered in his sleep. I grabbed the iron poker from the fireplace and crept to the window. At first, I saw nothing, just the moonlit pines, but the feeling of being watched was suffocating. Then I saw it, a smudge in the tree line, a flicker of movement. It wasn't an animal. It was too tall, too thin, and moved with a disjointed, unnatural shuffle, like a marionette with tangled strings. It was long-limbed with joints that bent at impossible angles. It had no face, just a smooth, pale expanse. As it turned its head towards my cabin, even without eyes, I knew with a chilling certainty that it was looking right at us. After that night, it was never far. During the day, there was a constant, oppressive feeling of being watched. An unnatural silence had fallen over the area, with me and the child at its center. The nights were worse. It got bolder, circling the cabin, its strange, dragging footsteps crunching in the snow. I'd hear scratching at the door, a slow, methodical sound. Leo was inconsolable, wailing in pure terror, his eyes glued to the ceiling, as if he could see the thing right through the roof. My Mark was in a state of constant, agonizing alert. The skin around it was red and raw. It was trying to shield me, but the creature's focus wasn't on me. I was just in the way. It wanted the child. I barricaded the doors and windows, knowing it was useless. One evening, the scratching stopped. The silence that followed was even more terrifying. I held my breath, clutching Leo. Then, a new sound. A soft, wet tapping on the window pane. Pressed against the glass was a long, pale hand with far too many joints. On its featureless face, a dark, jagged line split open like a wound. It was a mouth. A low, guttural chittering vibrated through the glass. It knew we were in here. It was hungry, and it was tired of waiting. I knew we couldn't stay. My only hope was to reach one of the old sanctuaries, fortified settlements high in the mountains where the collective power of Marks supposedly creates a barrier nothing can break. It was a 3-day journey on foot, but it was our only choice. We left before dawn. The woods were dead. No wind, no animal sounds, just the crunch of my boots in the snow. By the second day, I was running on nothing but fear. The entity wasn't hiding anymore. I would see it moving parallel to us through the trees, a pale phantom flitting between the trunks. It was pacing us, herding us. I realized it wasn't just hunting us, it was playing with us. That night, we sheltered in a shallow cave, built a small fire at the entrance, hoping it might offer some protection. With an old wood axe in my lap, I sat and stared out into the dark. It emerged from the trees and stood at the edge of the firelight. It was taller than I remembered. It stood perfectly still, and then it began to hum. A low, resonant frequency that vibrated in my teeth and made my eyelids heavy. My body screamed at me to sleep. It was trying to lull me under, to take the child without a fight. I looked at Leo, and a surge of pure, protective fury cut through my exhaustion. I would not let it have him. I scrambled to my feet, raising the axe. The creature's hum faltered. It tilted its featureless head, and then took a single, deliberate step into the firelight. The fire didn't stop it. The flames seemed to bend away from its pale skin. It stepped closer. My Mark gave one final desperate flare of cold, and I screamed, a raw sound of defiance as I swung the axe. There was no sound of impact, just a sudden blinding flash of pale light, an explosion of cold that threw me back against the cave wall. The world dissolved into black. When I woke, it was morning. The fire was dead. The axe was on the ground. Leo was whimpering, but unharmed. The creature was gone. It felt like a nightmare, until the searing, agonizing pain in my wrist brought me back. I looked down. My Mark, once a complex spiral of silver, was gone. In its place was a puckered, angry red scar. The skin was smooth and blank. I was markless now, too. We're still running. I don't know if the sanctuary is real, or if we'll ever make it. Now we're 2 candles in the dark instead of 1. Sometimes at night, I can still feel it. Farther away, but still there. Hunting, waiting. The world is full of shadows, and now I have no shield. I only have this child, and I don't know if I'm his protector, or if I've just damned us both. So what do you do when the things that go bump in the night start bumping back? If you made it through this story, hit that like button and subscribe for more tales from the dark. Let me know in the comments below. What would you have done? Would you have taken the child? Stay safe out there and say, check your marks.